Hey everybody, happy Friday, happy Friday. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. So I want to go ahead and get started, but before first I have to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Delisa Haynes. I'm the founder and CEO of Family First Health Center, which is the first direct primary care practice serving Volusia and Flagler counties here in Florida. And I'm really passionate about helping people, especially medical students, stop living in the shadows of depression and identifying and overcoming depression so they can show up, show out, and really share their gifts with the world. So we've been talking a little bit about, a lot of things, but sharing some of the things that I do daily to maintain my own mental health, some of the things that I've been teaching my patients over the years. We have to thank my medical student who really was instrumental in saying, "Hey, this is something that is really unique that a lot of people would benefit from." And thought, he's very smart. He's right. So we do need to make sure that we're sharing more. So my patients have called it Dr. Delisa's Essential Treatment of Depression. I really think of it more as just engaging all of your senses to support yourself. And specifically supporting your mood. And so whether you're a person that's just trying to kind of optimize your own health and your own life, whether you're someone who has a history of depression and you're trying to make sure that it stays a history and doesn't become part of your future, or whether you're someone who is dealing with depression right now, it can only help to bring in and engage more senses in the treatment. So in the past and kind of some of the other episodes, we talked about touch. So how things feel against your skin is one form of touch, but also who you choose to stay in touch with, the importance of being in connection with people who are positive, people who lift you up. So that's really important. We also talked about smell last time, and I shared with you, one of the things that takes me back to a positive time in childhood, and I would encourage everyone to have that. We all can benefit from having those small things that can take us immediately to a better place. And again, the best thing about smell is that you can't overthink it. So, you smell something and immediately it takes you back to a memory. So for me, again, it's cherry chapstick, and literally I take out some cherry chapstick and I remember being in the 3rd grade on the bus and everything is fine. And so finding what works for you. I love the aromatherapy kind of movement, but I'm really talking specifically about an association that you have with smell, which might be a little bit different than what is kind of out there for kind of the masses. And then I talked about sight. So there are certain people and there are certain images that make you feel better. So I love the water. That's one of the reasons that I live in Florida. I love being near the water. And there are also people in my life that I can't help but look at and smile. So I have pictures of my family, my nieces, my nephews, my parents, constantly around me because it helps to lift me up to see their faces. So making sure that you've got that. And today I really wanted to talk about sound. So who is in your ear? Because that's really, really important. One of the problems with depression is that all of your thoughts become negative. And so they become negative, they become self-defeating, and it can happen so slowly and insidiously that a lot of people just say, I'm just being realistic. It's like, no, you're actually beating yourself up constantly. But some of us think we have more self-awareness than we actually have. So I mentioned before about the Beck's Depression Inventory. It's one of the tools that I use because it's really easy. It's just 21 questions that I'll have someone take really quick. And it's so eye-opening to them because there's a lot of people who just don't realize where they stand. but when they're forced to kind of answer certain questions honestly, they have that newfound self-awareness of, where they actually are. But in depression, all of the thoughts that you're having become negative thoughts. And so that's the only sound in your head is all this negativity. The other thing is that people who are depressed tend to withdraw. And especially if you're already, like myself, naturally more of an introverted person anyway, you really want to withdraw. A lot of people who have depression don't want to negatively affect the people around them, so they'll withdraw, which is part of the disease, and it also can be some people's personality as well. So if you imagine that someone has all these negative thoughts and then they've withdrawn, they're now just alone with all of those negative berating thoughts and literally getting beat up constantly, which is the worst place that someone with depression can be. So if you are someone who is supporting someone through depression, it's really important to be looking out for that withdrawal and making sure that, trying to make sure that doesn't happen. But getting back to, to sound, sometimes when you're dealing with that, your own voice isn't the positive voice that you need, or you have difficulty thinking positive thoughts. And that's when it's okay to import them, to bring them in. So I really loved, I've mentioned some of the people that have impacted me over the years, and one is Matt, who works with Lisa Nichols, and he would always have this image of like the boombox, the old boombox. I'm dating myself, that you would kind of have on like one shoulder, and you could like tone up the volume over here, and you could turn it down over here. And he would imagine that one side was the positive and one side was the negative. And when you're dealing with depression, the positive voice, the positive gets really, really, really quiet, and that negative gets really, really, really loud. And so one of the goals is to flip that, is to really pump up the positive and kind of to minimize the negative. And in order to do that, you might need to bring in some external things. So sound, you immediately think of, music naturally. And someone who was watching a previous episode was mentioning that they're very musically inclined, whereas I was talking specifically about smell then, but it's important that all of these are things that you can use together. It's not that they have to be used in isolation. But there are certain songs that I love that a lot of people have like their theme music. There are certain songs that you play that no matter how bad you're feeling, you just listen to that song and you can't help but just kind of get just a little bit of an elevation in your mood. So it's fun to have those, with you at all times to press play. I actually have a song that gets me out of bed in the morning. It's called Get Up. It's by Mary Mary. And years ago, I downloaded and I set that as my alarm. And so luckily now I don't have to use my alarm very often, but it's nice that I still have that, and it's just it's a positive song that I couldn't stay in bed or not move if I wanted to, because I like the beat, I like the rhythm. So sound has a lot of forms, music often being one of them. And then also just like, who are you allowing to talk to you? What television are you watching? What news are you listening to? I don't recommend my patients watch the news at night, regardless of whether you have depression or not, just because of a lot that's on there, and that finding other ways to stay in touch with what's going on in the world, that without going to sleep with all of those kind of negative thoughts and everything. And the other person that really had a lot of impact on me, so I mentioned Lisa Nichols a lot because definitely she has, is Jack Canfield. And so years ago, Jack Canfield put out a series that I think was called Self-Esteem and Peak Performance. And there was literally a CD on there that all it was positive affirmations. So I remember back in 2015, I would be driving to work, and I had that CD, and it would be his voice saying, "Everything good in me increases and grows," and I would be saying that back to myself, "Everything good in me increases and grows," because I needed, and if you're dealing with depression, you need to hear your own voice speaking positivity over yourself. So the importance of having daily positive affirmations, that was a great one for me. I mentioned Lisa Nichols she has sticky notes, all over her mirror and her front door and her refrigerator. And I have those as well. And there have been definitely times in my life that I really, really needed that. And now I still, do that, especially when I'm about to walk out the front door in the morning, and there's something that I needed to do that might be a little bit scary for me. I need to look, and I read the affirmations that I have on that door, and I hear my own voice speaking positive and power, over my situation, which is, just exceptionally, important. And going back to the music thing, is I've got music that I listen to at night. So I listen to I think it's Art of Love, which I will stretch to, and it's just kind of something that kind of calms me and helps me kind of get into that wind down mode. So using all of your senses, and the sense of sound being really important, and watching who is in your ear. So if you're someone that's dealing with depression, making sure you've got some outward positivity that's coming into your ears, and blocking some of the ones that are negative, and just really pouring on the positivity all the time. So I would love to hear from you all. What music do you listen to that lifts you up? What affirmations that you do that helps you get you through your day. And before I jump off, because this weekend it's a holiday weekend, so I hope you guys are all going to have a lot of fun. But I would love to hear what are you doing on a daily basis that helps you keep up, because it might not just help you, it could also help a lot of other people out there. Have a great weekend.